Let's talk about...
Boxing chat with Dev.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. Give me the Dave Coldwell breakdown of this mega fight.
Well, firstly, I'm going to speak as a fan. As a fan, I think it's so exciting. I think it's a really, really exciting fight. I mean, you've got two giants, you know, both so explosive, they can turn each other's lights out like that. They've both got vulnerabilities, they've shown vulnerabilities. They've both had questions in their careers, and they've both come through, you know. If I'm just going to look at bodies of work and black and white, then you've got to say Anthony Joshua's a favourite. For me, he's a favourite. Look at the two-time heavyweight champion, come back from adversity. Calibre of opponents he's fought throughout. He's got a deep, deep resume. You know, you look through the division, you know, over the last 7-8 years, and you look at the names that he's fought throughout that division, look at the guys that are around now who he's fought, all that is experience. Even the losses, great experiences, you know. The experience of being in the ring with Usyk for 24 rounds, that's going to teach you know. But then you look at Daniel Dubois, he's been brought through, always been champion as this, you know, this big prospect coming through, blasting everybody out. But he's always showed a really good jab, great body work. Then he run into trouble himself, and that the stick that he's had, the reputation that he gathered through a couple of his losses, it's a very, very hard, it's a heavy burden to carry for a fighter, because that's like, it's insulting you in the worst way. And you know, a lot of people questioned his heart and his desire in those fights, myself included, you know. But I don't mind being wrong when you make an assumption on a fight on what you see. You can only judge on what you see. So I don't mind being wrong if that man goes out and proves me right. And I like that, because then that makes me a fan, you know. And his fight against Jarrell Miller, I thought he answered a lot of demons to himself. Forget about what we think.
There's a fight with himself at times, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what we think. When it comes down to fighters and how their brains tick and what matters when they're in there, it doesn't matter what we think on the outside. It's all about what they think about themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that he got rid of some serious demons in that fight. And then you see the fight against Hrgović, and again, the shots that he was taking, he knew what he wanted to do, and no matter what Hrgović was going to do, he was going to get to where he wanted to be. You know, it's almost like, I think in the lead up, I think Hrgović again insulted him, because I think it was something to do with the sparring, and Daniel was like, I was a kid then, you know. And I think it got to him that he's still referring to him as that kid, and he had that fire, and I like to see that. So I think the way that he's come back makes him a really, really dangerous fighter, because I always thought he had the tools. Now, if he's got that mental toughness, that makes him even more dangerous. The only thing that I would say is that, for me, is the amount of times he got hit with that right hand against Hrgović, and you would think that they're prepared to take that right hand away, because they knew going into the fight that Hrgović throws that 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Mm-hmm. So you would prepare that. The fact that he still didn't get out of the way of it makes me think, well, if he gets into that position and he gets nailed by AJ just isn't going to just throw that one combination, just a 1-2. You know, he'll come back with a left hook. He'll come out. What makes AJ very, very good in his pump was his combination punching. He's a very, very fast, heavy-handed combination puncher. So it's a fight that I see both men can take each other out.
Make a case for either side.
But if I'm going to go and pick, and I think a lot of people do pick, is you go on bodies of work and what you kind of seen most of, then I would lean towards AJ and say, yes, he wins the fight. But if Daniel Dubois went and knocked out Anthony Joshua, would I be shocked and surprised like when Andy Ruiz did? No, because he's got the tools to do it. So I just think it's a great fight. It's a great fight, great undercard. I can't wait for it.
Absolutely. Well, great breakdown as well. Tell me about this. Daniel Dubois, for so long he was seen as the young guy coming through. It feels like now
Still
at this
is
stage, he is. He's 27 tomorrow, actually. Right. So he's still that young guy, but it feels like there's also experience now as well.
Yeah.
He's young and experienced. Yeah. He's been doing this since he was 19 years old. Real fights. You talk about stadiums, the pressure. He's done stadiums. He's won in stadiums. He's lost in stadiums. Do you think people are perhaps overlooking that?
Perhaps overlooking people that don't know what they're talking about. Perhaps overlooking the experience. People that know, understand that he's had real fight. I always say real fights make real fighters. You know, you can pad your record and have a fantastic looking record, knocking out people and having no questions asked. But even in defeats and even in bad moments, getting knocked down, experiencing getting knocked down and coming back up, and how you ride the rounds out, how you manage to ride the round out and come back and win, which they did against, was it
Kevin Urena?
Yeah. So in fights like that, I see it as adding armour to yourself. So the experience he's got is fantastic. He's like a seasoned fighter at now 27 years old tomorrow, like you say. Yes, he's fought in big arenas and big stadiums, but I just don't. I've been at Wembley when it's packed. I was there when AJ boxed Klitschko. I was there with Froch versus Groves. When Wembley's packed, and we saw, you know, Dillian Whyte against Tyson Fury. I don't know if the occasion got to him. He just, you know, he wasn't his usual self. It can do things to you, even though you've boxed in big venues, you've boxed at the O2, you've boxed wherever it's packed out and everyone's there. It just looks surreal when you walk out there, or when you see there as a fan at main event, and you look around Wembley Stadium. You see all the lights with the phones and everything. You see the big ring entrance and everything, and then the ring walk. The ring walk will be nuts. When he stood there in the introductions, and if he's looking around and he sees just how big it is, you don't know if that affects him, because he's not actually experienced it to that level. So it is another notch up. Although he's experienced in big fights, this is something special. Again, it's a world heavyweight title fight against a fellow Brit, against a superstar name. You know, so the whole concoction together, you don't know how he's going to react to it. I don't think he'll react to it in a negative way. I don't think that, but you just never know. And I just think that as well, he's got an experienced man in Don Charles. Most importantly, it's not just he's experienced, he knows Daniel Dubois, and he knows how to get the best out of Daniel Dubois. And again, with the turnaround that we've seen in him mentally, I put a lot of that down to Don Charles, because I know how a coach has got to be able to gel with the fighter in order for the fighter to trust the coach, the fighter to gel and to be able to take that instruction on. And when he doubts himself, to still be able to go beyond that doubt in order to carry out the instruction, practice, try it out. It doesn't work at the start, but keep going until you nail it. Then you have that confidence, go and do that in the fight. That takes a trust, and that takes a coach to be able to get into a fighter's head and know the fighter. And I think in Don, he's got that man. And so, again, if he is nervous coming out, all fighters are nervous coming out, Don will be able to say the right things in order to keep that. Because nerves is a good thing if you can control it. If you can't control it, that's where it's an issue. But if you can control it, it gives you that edge, it gives you that sharpness, rather than being a bit sloppy and a bit lackadaisical.
What a fight. What a breakdown as well, Dave Coldwell. And best of luck to you and Stephen Cairns for our evening. Great to see you.
Thank you.